That's not the right thing. Alright, getting started. Wait for people to come in. What's a minute? Oh, is that on a 10-second delay? Should be on about a 10-second delay. Alright, wait to get some more people in, then we'll get started. Lots to do today. Hopefully, the people who asked for the things that are on the stream show up. And then we can get started. It's going to be an interesting stream. I don't know how it's going to go. I do have a time frame for it, so I can't go too long. Then from there, we'll got a lot there's a lot of stuff coming up tomorrow. I got a lot of reading to do for the next couple of days, but we'll talk about that. Talk about that briefly before we get started, and then go into the other stuff. Let's sort that announcements. We're going live. I got some interesting stuff. We'll do some learning. We're gonna do a tucker video just to make sure that people have time to come in and situate, figure out things, and then we'll do the meat and potatoes of this one, and then we'll see. But it'll be should be a good stream. Maybe we'll learn a thing or two. Figure out some biology. Learn some virology. It'll be very interesting. I'm going to post the Discord link so people can, at some point, somebody will join the Discord. They can have more conversations then. Look through the things. Get some time, but for those of you here or those of you just joining, I'm David. This is Fresh Faces New Ideas. You can follow me here, or you could follow me on YouTube at Fresh Faces New Ideas, or on Twitter at Faces Ideas. I'm pretty active here. I usually post the streams on YouTube after, depending. When we do more debate style stuff, we will. I'll change how I post stuff. I'll segment them more, but right now it's everything goes up immediately, or not immediately, because I just put up today. I put up the Memorial Day one and and the one I did yesterday. So it's a little slow on those, but it is what it is. Yeah. So like the title says, Tucker had another wonderful big-brained segment yesterday, where he said some things, went very mask off almost immediately, like like watching it it's like telling you about it doesn't do it justice. It's watching it is really the way to do it. That's how you like really get the full impact of what he's saying. Then we're gonna do research. I've had a couple people bugging me about, let's look into the lab leak theory. So we're gonna Google around, try to figure out that. Hopefully, as more you come in, you can supplement me with other ways to try to look into this. Yes, for those of you who will ask, I know about the Fauci emails. I think I have a link to all of them. It's like 3,200 pages, but I think it's like 1 page per email. So I'll have to go through and take some time to look at that. The ones I have seen, though, the one you're going to see a lot, because I've already seen this on Twitter, is dated from February 5th. And it's Fauci talking about masks, saying that they don't really work. And then every conservative has obviously responded with, he lied. Masks never work. Except in February, he was still saying that. And the reason they were saying that was because they were trying to make sure that the N95s were for first responders and people like that. And then for then he said, look, everyone should be wearing a mask. So that's not lying. That's understanding science has changed, because that's how things in science work. Then there's also the other thing that doesn't get talked about much, because at the same time that Fauci is saying this, was Trump? Hold on, I have to double check this. When did Trump talk to Bob Woodward about COVID? He knew in February. Does it have a date? Yeah, okay. All right, so this doesn't actually have a date for it. So sometime in February, we know for a fact that Trump spoke to Bob Woodward. He knew that the virus is deadly. He knew that it was worse than he was letting on. And from there, he just, lied to people. So, if you're going to complain Fauci lied because he said consistent statements in his emails and his public speaking, then I guess Trump never lied. Like, the cognitive dissonance there is very weird. But yeah, like I said, I haven't looked through all of them yet. I just found the thing. Let me just take a quick look at it, make sure it's holy. I have to get so many of these. And a lot of this is redacted. Yeah, there's redactions in these. Some of these are very redacted. So that'll take a little while to look through them. I'm also gonna, before I do that, take a look at TOS, and make sure that I can show these. I think I should be able, because they're not leaked. The emails were attained by a Freedom of Information Act. So it should be able to be covered. I have to see. I'll check around to see who's covering them before I show it all on screen. Because in all likelihood, I'm gonna have to go through and piece together the ones that are important versus what's too redacted to tell you. But for the people who are already tweeting about this stuff broke this morning. For everyone who's saying fire Fauci immediately, there's no way they read all of it. It's 3,000. It's just the document that I looked at was 3,000 pages. Most Americans wouldn't read. We had people talking about this yesterday. The Mueller report was 400. Granted, this is generally emails, and half of which appear to be redacted. So it's not 3,000 full text pages, but it's a lot. And also, like, half the people who are going to comment on this have no medical degrees or stuff. Like, I don't either. So that's why I've been very clear about saying these things over and over again, that I don't have a biology or virology background. So anything that we learn from this stream is going to come from me, not directly understanding it. So, like, if we come across words that I don't understand, or terms and stuff, we're gonna have to look it all up. So it's gonna take a while. But as for what is actually in the information, we'll have to see. But we don't know. I don't know how much we'll understand. But for the Fauci stuff, we're gonna have to take a while. That's gonna take a little while for me to go through and look at. But for people like there's no way, like Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeting about it, for a fact she hasn't read it. Remember, it was a big deal to her when she had to read the 14 pages of the Green New Deal. And even if that would have to be like a 10-to-1, 20-to-1. No, it would be like 1,000-to-1 per those pages for the document that I'm looking at, because no, not 1,000. That's too much. Anyway, there's that. So the Tucker segment was from last night. It's only 5 minutes. That's all we're gonna watch of the Tucker thing, because I don't. I'm not gonna subject you to a full Tucker episode, because right after this segment he goes into talking Candace Owens, and for those of you who were here yesterday and watched me talk about Candace Owens, my feelings about her. I do not like her. I think she is not a good person, and I think that covering her is generally bad. I think a lot of the things that she purports to argue about are wrong. She doesn't really have an ideology. She's very divisive, but we'll see. So we're about 12 minutes in. So anyone who's new, Discord link, follow me on the Discord if you want to have conversations. We want to talk about topics offline. If you want to send me information, or comment on things. Well, I think we have a memes page, right? Yeah, general politics, memes, gaming. We got lots of stuff going on. Have a debate. Like to talk to people. People want to debate stuff. I've already debated. We've only been at this for like 3 weeks. I've already had multiple debates. Might be doing a couple more on another panel I might be going on sometime next week. But I know next week, Tuesday, I'm going to be going on the Productive Conversations podcast. That'll be at 8 p.m. So I'm going to try to stream that here. If not, that'll be on the YouTube, and I'll put an announcement about that one. But yeah, that'll be a basketball one. I'll do more information on that probably Tuesday. Monday is probably going to be a later stream as well. I have some stuff to take care of in the morning, so that stream might not start till like 2:33ish maybe. That one's gonna be later. That's just how it's gonna work on that day. But yeah, other than that, it should work consistent. We're gonna grow. Got a lot of fun stuff. So looks like everyone's kind of gonna trickle in more slowly than I would have expected. But let's get into it. Okay, here we go. Tucker Carlson. This is 8 seconds in. That's too much. Now, we already know these are known facts about Tucker Carlson. He is if not believer in white supremacists, he is no problem advocating for white supremacy and Nazi talking points. He will just outright lie. This is also the man who protected himself in a lawsuit by saying, or Fox News protected him, that no reasonable person goes and watches Tucker and assumes that they're getting the truth. This is the same defense that Sidney Powell has. So anytime you see somebody discussing, Tucker made a good point, or, I believe Tucker said this, he's probably lying to you. Anything he's saying on, big business and the swamp and corruption and, the elites, Tucker Carlson, before he got paid millions and millions of dollars to be on Fox, is the heir to the Swanson food fortune. So he was an elite before he became into the media elite. Some of the other things before we go over this, we got to cover DeSantis. I don't know if that'll be tomorrow or Friday. It depends on how much of this Fauci stuff I can get through. But he, on day one of Pride, because June is Pride Month, on day one of Pride, he said that he signed his anti-trans bill, and then apparently today he cut funding for mental health for the LGBTQ survivors of the Pulse nightclub shooting. So good ally there. Way to go. He's really trying to stick himself as the front runner of the I hate the LGBTQ people, because it's like him and Greg Abbott at this point. But Greg Abbott is too busy killing Texans to care about that. And the other one, what is her face? Kristi Noem is out of the running because she refused to ban transgender people. And keep in mind, every time we discuss this, the transgender people in sports issue is not an issue. In Florida, I've covered this. I have a video on this on my channel. What the hell is the name of that? I don't even know. I did that video so long ago. Oh, good. He has a video about this. Oh, yeah, there's the Ben Shapiro. You have to push back on wokeness by perpetuating more racism. PragerU video. This is. Hold on, let's see if I can find the name of that video. It's not Florida. It's going to Florida, is it? Maybe it is. Maybe it's this one, even more trans legislation. Okay, it's one of those. I have a video on it. It's either one of the Florida named ones or the trans ones. But you can go check that out at your own time. So here's Tucker. Let's see what Tucker is.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Hope you had the best weekend. If you're a middle-aged American, some of us are, you can probably still dimly remember back to what things used to be like in this country, say 13 or 14 months ago. Way back then, before the revolution, pretty much
So 13 or 14 months ago would have been about, let's see. So that would have been April of 2020. So this was right as the pandemic was really peaking.
Everybody agreed that segregation was the worst.
Stop. We need to roll it back. Tucker Carlson's statement is, everyone agrees that segregation is the worst. That's not what he's about to say. I don't know if he's reading he's about to say segregation is the best. It is. You can look at the things he says, because it is unbelievable how fucking racist he is. He's about to say segregation is the best. His mouth, you can see him mouth it. That's exactly, if you're going to say it's the same way, he's about to say it.
To be like in this country, say 13 or 14 months ago. Way back then, before the revolution, pretty much everybody agreed that segregation was the worst thing.
I mean, this... I can't get over this. Like, I want to clip this and use this forever because that's like the funniest racist shit I've ever seen. He's absolutely about to say best. Go in the mirror and look at yourself saying best in the mirror. It's the same mouth motion. It is incredible. This is 20 seconds into his monologue and he's already saying segregation was the best.
Ever did. Sure, well, maybe from a health perspective, that is technically true if you want to be precise about it, but it's clearly not about health.
Oh, okay, hold on. This one didn't have everything that I was looking for. So some of these cut back and forth. I didn't realize that. I thought this had everything. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, no, that went too far. Because I know these cut. Okay.
Carlson, tonight, hope you had the best weekend. If you're a middle-aged American, some of us are, you can probably still dimly remember back to what things used to be like in this country, say 13 or 14 months ago. Way back then, before the revolution, pretty much everybody agreed that segregation was the worst thing this country
Every time you watch it, it gets funnier because it's so absurd.
ever did. Forcing certain categories of citizens into separate, lesser accommodations, barring them from public places, treating them like lepers or untouchables, that was completely immoral and wrong. We were told that a lot, and most of us strongly agreed.
But not Tucker. Tucker does not strongly agree. Also, the thing he is going to conflate now are two separate things. He's going to conflate vaccinations with segregation, except because not only is this a disingenuous argument, but it underlies what segregated them. When segregation happened, you couldn't not be black. Like, you were born that way. Unless, you were, obviously there were black people who were mixed and lighter skinned, so they could pass as white. But when you get this vaccine, you choose not to get it. So any segregation, so the only people, and I'm going to repeat this every single time, the only people who should not be vaccinated from this in this country are children who are under 11 or under 12 because they're not allowed to get vaccinated yet, and people who have a medical reason not to get. Every single other American should be vaccinated for it. This is not a hard thing to discuss. This is not a difficult thing to do. 80% of Americans live within 5 miles of it. You can Uber and Lyft have free drives to it. The vaccine is free. Depending on where you are, you could get a chance to win $1 million or scholarships. You can West Virginia. You can get a free gun. You could get free beer. You can get free donuts. These are not all in West Virginia. These are just things that are being offered to get vaccinated. So that's part of why this analogy makes no sense. It's, oh, boo-hoo, we're just sad little babies who want... Like this is the thing that I want them to explain to me. So, for someone who's anti-vax and anti-mask, explain this to me. You want to go back to normal, but you don't want to either vaccinate in order to stop the virus from spreading or wear a mask because you're too much of a little baby to wear a mask and not, and things like little rules are just too much for you to handle. You sad little snowflake. Wear a mask. How do you... at that point, if you're against vaccinations and you're against masks, you're just advocating for people to die. That's it. And this is not like like warning labels on, don't put your finger in a electric socket or don't drink bleach. It's just because you're an idiot This virus doesn't just affect you. It affects other people. So how do you... The only other way to stop this from, if you're not going to vaccinate or you're not going to wear a mask, is kill all the people who could be susceptible to it. And maybe you're okay with that, in which case you're a lunatic.
Was wrong. So imagine our confusion today looking out across the country. The very same people, literally the very same, who just the other day told us that segregation was immoral, are now enforcing segregation. Should we be surprised? Probably not, but we still are.
I'm going to be honest. I'm shocked this is not a star. If this was like OAN or Newsmax, this would absolutely be a star.
This morning, the New York Times informed us that unless you can prove you have taken the injection that the Democratic Party demands you take, you are no longer permitted in bars, comedy clubs, even some dance competitions.
Okay. First off, the fact that this is being pitched as a Democratic Party versus Republican Party thing is just insane. We're not having a debate about, where did this come from or anything. We're having a debate of how many people is an acceptable number of deaths to a virus that we can now inoculate ourselves from. Because at this point, with the vaccine as readily available as it is, any person who doesn't get the vaccine and dies is an unacceptable loss, and they're stupid. Because at this point, the only people who should not be getting the vaccine are children under 12 and people who are immunocompromised or whatever it is that they can't take the vaccine. So if you're not in one of those categories and you die from this vaccine, you've chosen that for yourself. This is not a left-right issue. This is an are you stupid or not issue. As for this New York Times piece, let's see. New York Times proof of vaccination. Oh, this is the Excelsior Pass. Hold on. I wonder if he's going to talk about.
In the state of New York, you're too dirty to appear in public. You're not welcome near normal people. Want to watch the NBA playoffs in person? You had better be vaccinated to do that. Otherwise, the New York Knicks will bar you from Madison Square Garden.
No. So first off, this thing is not going to take into effect because the Knicks aren't going to win their first round series. So what would happen is the second round, if they make it through the first round, they're going to require you to have proof of vaccination to enter this stadium, which isn't going to happen because they're not going to win. So yeah, look, this is once again a lot of their arguments cut against themselves because they want businesses to not have any stipulations on them. But the business doesn't want to be one of those businesses that doesn't require people to be vaccinated because the majority of people are going to get vaccinated. So they know they're going to lose customers by not making sure that the people who go there aren't worried about being infected with the virus. Also, for a sports arena, you do not want the possibility of your players getting COVID. We know for a fact that players have gotten COVID, and these are among the top athletes in the world, and they're built like just their bodies. The level that their bodies are at is a different level than what normal people are at. Jason Tatum got COVID, and he said that prior to having COVID, he never needed an inhaler, and now he needs one for every game. And Jason Tatum's like 23. So the fact that he is saying that he needs this just shows you that like these places they're doing the right thing. It is so mind-boggling to me that this is always their talking point.
You can still go see a baseball game if you want to, but be warned, you will be sitting in your own roped-off section, marinating in your shame.
Look, that's right. If you don't have a vaccine, you are more likely to spread COVID, whether you're asymptomatic or not. If you have the vaccine, you're not likely to spread it. So therefore, the people who are all likely to spread it because it is an aerosolized virus and that it spreads through close contact, those people should all be in the same area so you don't get everyone in the arena sick. Or you risk getting other people sick. Because the people who are vaccinated, and this is something he's going to complain about later, it's not on 100% protection. I've said this over and over again. I'm sorry. How fucking dumb are you? To still, how stupid are these people that we're still having this conversation? Do you not understand, what is going on? If you get the vaccine, if you get Johnson & Johnson, you're 66% protected. If you get Pfizer, Moderna, you're 95 or 96% protective. Neither of those are 100% effective. What the vaccine does is lower the percentage of chance that you could get it. And it lowers the chance of you having a more deadly case. You can still get COVID if you are vaccinated. You can still have COVID. You can still die from COVID. It has happened. It is an incredibly small percentage. So remember, Tucker said that 4,000 people died. This was a couple weeks ago. He said it was 30 people a day die after they have the shot. He was implying that if you have the shot, it's going to kill you. And he's like, oh, these are the numbers they don't want you to talk about. But that's not what it is. What actually is happening, because he's just conflating death with he's conflating a cause that's not an effect. So the cause is death. The effect is not from the virus. When you get COVID vaccines, the first people who got it were old people. They already had a higher mortality rate in general. This vaccine does not protect you from death. It protects you from COVID. So if you have the vaccine, I think it's something like 200. It's literally a 1 in a million chance of the people who've been vaccinated have died. It's like we've given 200 million shots and we've 200 people died, which is insane.
The other disobedient bad people. Medical Jim Crow has come to America. If we still had water fountains, the unvaccinated would have separate ones.
No, they wouldn't, because that's... Oh, what the hell just happened?
But wait...
Okay, so now it's back to where we were. Here. They wouldn't. So the reason they wouldn't have separate drinking fountains is because that's not how it spreads. This was something we learned early in the pandemic. For those of you who remember, and then when we watched the Laura Ingraham video about her fear-mongering about climate lockdowns, which aren't a thing, is that the virus, while it survives on surfaces, it's not there for very long. So even if you had water fountains, it's not likely that would be a way to pass them off. But look, once again, if you are worried about this fake segregation or believe that your rights are being trampled by this, go get the vaccine or wear a mask. Those are your options. You either do one of those things or you shut up. You don't get to whine and cry about, oh, I don't want to get vaccinated because, lead in the water, or Tucker told me it doesn't work. Tucker's lying. And I don't want to wear a mask because that's an infringement on my rights. Unlike when I wear a shirt into a store, or I have to wear shoes into a store, or my ability to walk around carrying 17 firearms because I'm scared of my neighbor, and that's my right. But wearing a mask is too difficult for me because I'm a big baby. Just get vaccinated. Come on, it's not that hard.
Or science. It's bigger than that. It's about good and evil.
Oh, wait, maybe that wasn't
It's about You ask, is this logical? Does it make sense? Why would people who've had the vaccine fear being near people who haven't had the vaccine?
Well, Tucker, because this is sadly a one-way conversation. Did this Was this what I was looking for? Hold on. I gotta pull that video back up. I think it was this one.
Box. Sure, well, maybe from a health
Okay, yeah. All right, sorry about that. Figured it all out. Yes. The reason they are worried is, once again, the vaccine is not 100%. So there is no reason for them to put themselves at risk because you're too stupid to figure out science.
Aren't the vaccinated protected? Isn't that the whole point of getting the shot? Sure, well, maybe from a health perspective, that is technically true.
Okay, hold on. We're going to go back to this.
Perspective, that is technically true.
That is it. That is the whole... He just blew up his whole argument. From a health perspective is all that matters for this. If you get the vaccine, you are less likely to get the virus. And if you don't, you are more likely to get it and spread it to other people. So the ones who do the right thing should not be penalized because you do the wrong thing.
If you want to be precise about it, but it's clearly not about health or science. It's bigger than that. It's about good and evil.
No. The only people who are complaining that this is not about health and science are people like Tucker. The only people who are whining that this is some type of segregation or this is more than just listening to the science are the people who want to do the wrong thing. It's kind of weird that the people who are consistently on the wrong thing, wrong about this, are always the one crying the hardest about they're wrong about like everything. It's people like Tucker who are saying, oh, the vaccine is bad for you, or misconstruing what it does. And they're just like, well, why should I be punished for, not following the way it is? It's the same people who are like, oh, giving gays rights would be bad. It's the same, he's like, oh, it's all, on all the cultural war issues, they're wrong.
It's about discovering who is a decent person and who, by contrast, deserves to be punished for sin.
No, it's not about who deserves to be punished. It is about finding out who's a decent person. And we are finding out, unfortunately, and this is something we learned throughout the pandemic, that a large chunk of Americans are not good people. They will not do things just for the benefit of their... No, hold on. Let me answer that in a second. Actually, I just lost my train of thought. So, first off, depending on what you do, there are already mandatory medical procedures. If you join the Army or the Marines, you are required to get vaccinations. This complaining about it as a future mandatory procedure is not a reason not to get this. In fact, you're more likely to make it mandatory if you don't do the right thing now. First off, this whole anti-vaxxer thing, for basically the entirety of its existence, has been wrong. The guy that they cite for the autism has been debunked plenty of times. And yes, not every vaccine is 100%, and there will always be people who react poorly to a vaccine. Has to do with the medical procedures. I don't know if you saw the previous comment. That's what I'm referring to. But that's what it is. I lost my train of thought. I don't know what you just... Oh, good versus evil. Yeah. So unfortunately, we found out. Like what? What procedures are they more worried about? That doesn't mean that you can't take this vaccine. If you're an anti-vaxxer, you're afraid of vaccines. It's in the name. The problem we have here is that he's right. It is about finding out who's a decent person. It's not about punishing the people who are bad people. We already know who the bad people are. They're blatant about it. The problem is that these are the people who are going to drag us down into causing more death. They're the ones who are going to cause businesses to slow. They're the problem.
Finding out who has obeyed. And thankfully, once again, technology is coming. The state is doing this by itself.
Okay,
it's issuing something called...
This keeps skipping through things. I think it has to do with...
If you want to be precise about it,
okay,
it's
so
really
there's
not
this...
about health or science. It's bigger than that. It's about good and evil. It's about discovering who is a decent...
Hold on, let me see if I can find where this... All right, this is skipping parts. Does this have what I'm looking for? Okay, all right. So what it skipped was there's this thing called the Excelsior Pass, and I have no idea what this is. It's something from the New York Times. Do I have the New York Times? Okay, so this bar only allows vaccinated guests. Now, keep in mind, the same people who are going to decry this as segregation will also decry any type of restrictions that you would try to put on to make the bar healthier or anything like that. So basically this is an online thing that tells you whether or not you're vaccinated. And it comes as like a QR code, and you have to wear a bracelet. Which I think, I'm sure there's privacy issues and stuff involved with it, but I don't think it's a huge like step back for things. Let's see what else. So that's what it skipped. It skipped some of these commercials and stuff.
The Excelsior Pass. The Excelsior Pass entitles you to all the rights and freedoms you imagined you were born with, but that turn out to be entirely contingent on whether you do exactly what Andrew Cuomo says to do immediately.
No. So that is just not even true for what this pass does. First off, the right to just go into a bar is contingent on the bar being open. And since it's a private thing, they can decide who obviously they have to, do things within reason about who can go in. But if the bar isn't there, you don't have a right to go into it. It's basically just a QR code for your phone that indicates you have vaccine status. The pass and vaccine passports more generally have become a political flashpoint, yada, yada, yada. So this is big tech. Florida, Alabama, Arizona banned vaccine passports. I think the biggest issue with this would be no, I don't think you're... Look, I think that statement is correct. That there's some anti-vaxxers who believe that has to do with future mandatory medical processes, but I don't think that's the vast majority. I think the vast majority of them are either don't believe this vaccine works, or they're just anti-science, or the problem is the anti-vax movement has been, first of all, very damaging in general. But secondly, it's also very wrong, and then it's been invaded by crazy people. So, yes, I'm sure you could find reasonable anti-vaxxers to argue that point, but that's not really the point that's being argued by them.
Officials in New York have assured us the Excelsior Pass is totally safe. It's every bit as safe as a state-licensed nursing home, and it's utterly confidential. It's a lockbox. Your personal health information cannot be hacked by anyone, apart, of course, from hackers, people who actually try to hack it. Last month, for example, a man called Albert Fox-Conn broke into the Excelsior Pass in just 11 minutes.
Okay, but, look, obviously this is what's going to be the biggest issue is the health thing. But, unless you mandated how difficult their cybersecurity was, or you put it on the federal government to protect it, you're going to have issues like this. And even like, look, there's two perfect examples of proof that corporations and stuff aren't going to protect their data. We have the Colonial Pipeline, which got hacked and then shut down, and that's why Joe Biden caused the gas prices to go, because a private company got hacked. And then we just had JBM, the largest meat manufacturer in the country, just got hacked. Like, so yes, that is an issue, but the answer to that would simply be, you have a vaccine, you have a card that says whether you're vaccinated or not. Can't hack a card.
But other than that, you're completely fine. So more than 1 million people have downloaded the Excelsior Pass so far, and that's a victory for public health. But it does make you wonder, is this the end or is it the beginning? Why should it end here? The coronavirus is transmissible and it can be dangerous, but it's hardly the only illness that fits that description.
Now hold on. This is their slippery slope argument, and maybe I don't care whatever Lowell is. This is what you're arguing is this. However, this is not a thing that we've done in the past because these diseases haven't spread in the same way. Maybe it is something we have to start looking into, because a lot of the issues that come from these diseases is that we have a poor healthcare system to begin with, and these diseases don't make it any easier. But the things he are about to say are not good examples of this.
So if politicians can segregate potential COVID carriers from the rest of the American population, why can't they do the same thing to people with HIV or tuberculosis or hepatitis C?
And the answer for that is because they don't transmit the same way. Hep C and HIV are from bodily fluids or through sex. So that's not the same. Now, tuberculosis is a different story. In which case, if you have tuberculosis, you probably shouldn't be out in crowds like this anyway. So, like, this is a counterintuitive argument. Why would they stop us from, why would they vaccinate or segregate people who have HIV? Well, how does 8 seconds of thought? I'm not the smartest person in the world, and I've debunked everything this man has said. Like, this is not very difficult. I feel sorry for people who watch this. The people who watch this type of shit, the people who watch Ben Shapiro, they're all just full of shit.
Before you laugh off the possibility of that happening, see if you can answer the core question. Why wouldn't that happen?
Because that's not an effective way to deal with those viruses.
And of course, at this point, there really isn't a reason that it wouldn't happen, because the precedent has been set. And by the way, say goodbye to those HIPAA protections you thought you had. It used to be illegal to demand people's confidential medical information. Not anymore. What's illegal now is trying to hide it. The FBI is warning of, quote, severe penalties for anyone who dares to forge a vaccine card, so don't even think about it.
Pause. So, he could have made a legitimate argument there, if there was an argument to be made. So, the HIPAA, let's look at HIPAA regulations. HIPAA regulations on patient privacy. The HIPAA privacy rules establish national standards to protect individuals' medical records and other persons' health information. Applies to health plans, healthcare, cleaning houses, and those health providers that conduct certain health. Let's see. All right, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for HIPAA regulations on sharing. What information can be shared under HIPAA? Okay, this is a very simple question. This is what they complained about. If you work in healthcare or consider doing business with healthcare clients that require access to health data, you'll need to know that what is considered protective healthcare administration under HIPAA. All right, so protected health information is considered to be individually identifiable information relating to the past, present, and future health status of an individual that is created, collected, or transmitted or maintained by a HIPAA-covered entity in relations to the provisions of healthcare. Health information such as diagnosis, treatment information, medical test results, and prescription information are considered protective health information under HIPAA, as are national identification numbers and demographic information. Okay, so none of this looks to be under HIPAA. Whether you are vaccinated or not does not appear to be protected under HIPAA. So that's just what that says. So he's wrong. The HIPAA I just looked at it. The HIPAA regulations do not protect you from this. Also, once again, I lost the point of what he was going to. So let's go back.
What's illegal now is trying to hide it. The FBI is warning of, quote, severe penalties for anyone who dares to forge a vaccine card, so don't even think about it.
So what Tucker is advocating here for is, and this was, and I've said this over and over again, this was the concern when the CDC ruled that anybody who's been vaccinated can just go mask-free. It is that people would fake, lie, or pretend to be vaccinated so they didn't have to wear a mask because they're fucking children. So what Tucker is advocating for is crime. He's advocating for people to fake their vaccine cards in order to not get the vaccine so they can go places and potentially get other people sick. Look, Why don't we require every citizen? It's not the same issue with fake masks. Because if who you have sex with is your own personal choice. If you choose to infect, because here's the thing with HIV. HIV, if you know you have it, you would be irresponsible not to tell your partner or partners that you have it, in which case they wouldn't know. If you don't have COVID, if you're asymptomatic and you're not vaccinated, you can just spread it to people without you being aware. Or if you do know and you go out, you're a jackass. So the difference is intent and the ability for the virus to spread. HIV, for the people who are HIV positive and don't tell their partners about it, they're purposely spreading the disease. If you have COVID and you're asymptomatic, or you know about it and you go out and you can spread it, you don't know who. But that's a different thing. If you don't know that you're HIV positive, it is different. Because the amount of people that you can infect with HIV is much less than the amount of people that you can infect with COVID. They're not a comparable disease. If you're asymptomatic with COVID, you can still spread it to lots of people, not just the people you are having sex with, the individuals. It's much harder to spread HIV than it is COVID. That's the difference. Also, he's advocating for a crime here. It has to be more effort to either create your own. Exactly. It is the same. You can spread COVID whether you know it or not. The difference is one of them can be spread much faster and into a more effectively deadly result. COVID can spread faster than HIV. That's the difference. If I go into Madison Square Garden and I'm HIV positive and I don't have sex with the person next to me, they're not going to get HIV. If I go into Madison Square Garden and the people around me aren't vaccinated and I have COVID, I can spread it to all of them. Do you see the difference? But this is a crime. He's advocating for people to knowingly just lie. By the same token, should the people... Let's turn this to a different subject. If it is okay to forge your vaccine passport or a vaccine card, is it also okay to forge a voter ID? Why not? It's government overreach. They won't let me vote. They won't let my voice be heard. It's the same. They're like, what is your argument here? It's okay to kill people because you don't want to be inconvenienced by a day maybe from the second shot?
Now, we used to spend quite a bit of time worrying about scenarios like the one we're living through right now. Back in 2003, for example, a federal judge in Washington ruled that the government cannot force an unapproved vaccine on its...
No, it's not because it would seem homophobic. It's the same reason we don't require people with other STDs to wear a condom or have an HIV pass. Once again, you're missing the point. It is not about being homophobic or whatever. Because first off, the AIDS crisis was used as a homophobic thing because that's how they thought it transferred. It has nothing to do with that. The reason we don't require people to wear a condom is because it is your choice whether or not you want to spread that disease, which is wrong. It's wrong for you not to wear a condom or for your partner to wear a condom. The difference for COVID is if I choose not to be vaccinated, I'm a danger to more than one person. It has nothing to do with being homophobic.
Citizens. At the time, the Defense Department wanted to inoculate soldiers serving in Iraq against anthrax. Some soldiers didn't want it. DOD tried to make them take it. And then the judge, Emmett Sullivan, stepped in. He said this, quote, absent an informed consent or presidential waiver, the United States cannot demand that members of the armed forces serve as guinea pigs for experimental drugs, end quote.
Here's the Discord link.
He was not attacked for that. In fact, at the time, Judge Sullivan's ruling was seen as a victory for civil liberties. How would it be?
So, this is also not conflating the same thing. The COVID drug is not experimental, the vaccine. We have enough data to prove that it works. We're not guinea pigs to it. They did a lot of the testing. What happened, the reason it was sped up was they were able to do multiple stages of testing simultaneously. This is not an experimental, like we have the data to prove it's not experimental. These are not coinciding with the same thing. The problem that he keeps proposing is that it's experimental, which it's not. It's still under emergency use only. It hasn't been, but it's not. This is not something that just rolled out. Then this is not something that would be, considered to be tested still in the first stages of testing.
Seen now. Well, it would be seen, in fact, it would be denounced as a win for QAnon. Because make no mistake, the only people who have not been vaccinated at this point are Trump voters and other dangerous white supremacists.
No, this is not entirely true. So I know he's going to go into the numbers, but that's after I'm done watching him here. So it is not true that Trump voters are the only people not vaccinated. There are certainly people who are not vaccinated. The difference is the reason behind it. There is plenty of people in the African American community and the other minority communities who are rightfully skeptical of the vaccine because of the history this country has of testing things on them. The difference is the Trump Republicans, and it's mostly evangelicals, who are advocating to not take the vaccine, are doing it because they have it's like a cult to them. They just refuse to do it. They just think it's like a badge of pride for them. There is no underlying issue for them that they think they should do this. They just don't want to.
Because they're the only ones evil enough to threaten this nation's public health. We've learned that repeatedly on television. Here's an example.
And now the narrative's entirely changed, and it's about Republicans, mostly men, so white male Republicans, who don't want to get the shot.
Brian, there is no group in America more likely to say, no, I am not going to get the COVID vaccine than white Republican men.
Why don't they want it, these white men who, by and large, were Trumpers?
There is the kind of, Republican white men who seem to take pride in it about refusing this vaccine.
It's also dangerous. I mean, we know that the vaccine hesitancy rates are rising amongst white Republican men. There actually is very little vaccine hesitancy at the moment between African Americans and Latino communities.
Yeah, you're not surprised. It's always the same people, isn't it? Those white Republican men. The very ones that just today Joe Biden warned us are more dangerous than ISIS.
Now, hold on. We're going to get to that last statement in a second. But it's worth mentioning that what he showed were clips from at least 2 months ago. So when you purport this data, because what happened when when the vaccine became basically more available to when it dropped from like under 55 to like under 30, there was a huge rush of people to go get vaccinated. So at that point, we saw the vaccination numbers drop. And obviously, it is possible that since then, because we are now into June, it is possible those numbers have shifted since the clips he is using. Also, the quote he is now saying is also mask off. What his quote was, what Biden's quote is, and then we'll go back to what Tucker says is, he's talking about Tulsa. He said, folks, we must not give hate a safe harbor. As I said in my address to the joint session of Congress, according to the intelligence community, terrorism for white supremacy is the most lethal threat to the homeland today. This is true because if you look at the data, the people who cause the most terrorism in America are white right-wing extremists. Not ISIS, not Al-Qaeda, white supremacy. That's not me. That's the intelligence community under both Trump and under my administration. So, what did Joe Biden say? He said white supremacy is the most lethal threat. Very clearly there, white supremacy. Tucker connected 2 points that were not connected, and it says something about what Tucker says. I don't care, whatever. Do you want to come on and discuss this? Like in a call-in? I mean, it's going to throw off what I had for today, but I would discuss this because I think your conflating is ridiculous. But we talk about that. So what Joe Biden said was white supremacy, specifically white supremacy. What up, Big Papa Fascist? Is the threat. What Tucker said, I'm going to read the quote and then we're going to play it back, is, you're not surprised. It's always the same people, isn't it? Those white Republican men, the very ones just today Joe Biden warned us are more dangerous than ISIS. That's not what Joe Biden said. Okay, I mean you've made your point, but your point is not correct on like any level. But you should still join the Discord so we can have other conversations in the future. And then you should follow me. So the link Joe Biden, or not Joe Biden, the link Tucker is making is white supremacy equals white Republican men. That was not in the statement. That was made by Joe Biden. This has been taken out of context a lot. I've seen this. Very clearly, that's what the difference is. So let's go play this back because it's right along there with Tucker Carlson saying that about to say segregation is the best. It is worth knowing that he's advocating white supremacy with he's advocating white supremacy. He's connecting white supremacy with white Republicans, not Joe Biden. Tucker.
African Americans and Latino communities.
Yeah, you're not surprised. It's always the same people, isn't it? Those white Republican men. The very ones that just today Joe Biden warned us are more dangerous than ISIS. These are the people who've been beating up elderly Asian women in our cities. You've seen that plague unfold. These are the...
Look, I don't have the data in front of me. So I know the point he's trying to make is that it is mostly African Americans who are causing the rise in anti-Asian hate crime. I would have to look into those numbers, but that's not what is being. He's correlating a whole bunch of different things here. White supremacy is definitely a white person thing. It is definitely a thing that the Army and the National Security Forces has said is the largest issue for homegrown terrorism. It's all right. So, obviously, dozens of leftists do not equate for everybody, and I don't think. Well, I did not say they were worse than ISIS. I'm literally reading from what. First off, this is what the military has said, and if you look at the data, the people who cause more terrorist attacks are not ISIS. It is right-wing extremists. That's just in the data. So if you're looking for it as purely as a terrorist attack, they are. But that's not what he's conflating to what Joe Biden said is not. If we're referring to it in terms of who's more likely to commit a terrorist attack in the United States, by the data, yes. But it's not all of them. It's a very specific portion. It's right-wing extremists. Not saying that all right-wingers. What about per capita? It doesn't matter per capita. It matters on the totality of all of the terrorist attacks. The ones who are most likely to commit it fall into a specific group. It has nothing to do with per capita. It is, if you look at the totality of all the terrorist attacks, there's a specific group that is more dangerous based on who commits them. What up, the Riddler? It's not, and let's be clear. I'm not saying I'm not, and let's be clear. I'm not saying every white Republican is a terrorist. That's insane. I'm saying that according to the data, if there is a terrorist in the attack in the United States, the numbers purport to it being a certain way. But none of this has any... No, because... Okay. I don't care about per capita. If you're arguing who is a bigger threat for a terrorist attack, and you're arguing, no, it's actually ISIS, which is across the fucking world, then yes, they are a bigger terrorist threat. Because they are the ones who have more consistently done this. So, that is a new term. But that's not the argument I'm making. He's conflating these things. That's not what it said. And I'm not just making this up. This data is here. This is what he's quoting. He's quoting his own intelligence community and Trump's intelligence community and Obama and Bush's intelligence community said the same thing. Right, but the other thing is we're also told that Muslims are a violent, inherently evil race. This is Fox News talking point for since 9/11. And the numbers do not bear out that. It just doesn't. But we've lost the thread here because he connected these things.
Ones who don't believe in science, who have no decency, they're the problem. Just the other day, Joe Biden's grumpy little flack told us that she had found new ways to reach.
Okay, first off, I don't think any race is inherently equal. Or, not inherently, let me rephrase that. I don't think any race is inherently evil. There's no such thing as an evil race. As for oppression, none. There. I live in like a super tiny town. It is very safe here. If you look at the oppression that has been given out, are you going to tell me that Muslims have oppressed more minorities than white people? That's not an argument you can make it with the straight face. Or even in good faith. That's not what I'm saying. You think globally Muslims have oppressed more people than white people? Get the fuck out of here. Prove it. Show me any data that purports to that. We did the slave trade. White people did the slave trade.
These recalcitrant mouth breathers.
We've run PSAs on the deadliest catch. We're engaged with NASCAR and country music TV. We're looking for a range of creative ways to get directly connected to white conservative communities.
So the thing he's about to admonish, what she said was, we're looking to get to creative ways to get people to get vaccinated because the goal is to get everyone vaccinated. What the hell is this? Okay, but this is still, even this doesn't, so, hold on, before I get to. So 3M, so I haven't actually looked into this, but I have seen, I have seen people that I know talk about this in a way that is that they were used to break apart black communities. I haven't looked into it. I don't know if you're being sarcastic because a lot of what the Muslims do for minority oppression is other sects of Muslims, and it's not like we're not continually oppressing people now. We're still there's still plenty of oppression in the United States. So the thing he's going to do is he's going to conflate he's laughing. So the whole point of what the Biden administration is trying to do is trying to make sure that everyone gets vaccinated. That is their goal. They want to make sure that everyone can get the shot so that we can move on from this. So them saying we're looking for other ways to reach out to people because we already have seen that just being told, hey, please go get a shot, it's literally free, it's free to get to, it's free to get, is not enough to incentivize everyone to get vaccinated. So they're reaching out to other ways. There's a whole. First off, the New York and Ohio doing this, I think it's very unfair. They're saying if you were at a certain point, if you didn't, if after a certain point you got okay, but first off, no, I'm not going to retract this statement. We're not getting into an oppression off. Because in order to retract this... but you're basing it on one... I mean, look, so if you're going to argue this, you're arguing this based on this article that you sent me. And look, we can do another one, and I can look into... But you're giving me one example. Look, we had the slave trade just like they did. If we're going to argue it's a religion oppression, we had a religious oppression. We still have oppression today, as do they do. I don't think it's if it wasn't if they were so oppressive, then they would be the ones in top on power universally, which they don't have. Are you referring to just in America, or are you referring to when the white slave trade? That's because this article. First, we've gone so far for the point. This is. How do we even get here? It's still not this shit. Oh, this is from Congress. Okay, we've lost the original point. Okay, but the transatlantic slave trade is not the encompassment of all white people's slave trades. No, there was other slaves first because they had to have slaves. They had slaves in other areas first. They wouldn't just come up with this idea. It wasn't just suddenly there. It was done before that. It was maybe the first transatlantic one, but there was other slave trades. So what oceans are white nations are basically all of Europe. It's across the first off. There's two oceans. All right, so we're gonna fucking pull up a map. What the hell? This is not the research stream I thought we were going to have, but it turned into it. Okay. So, the Middle East in Muslim nations is this area. Correct? We can agree on this. It's this Middle East area, a little into Egypt and Sudan. But then you're implying that there was no other. You're implying there's no other slave trading at all in any of this area for the rest of the world. That wouldn't make sense because Australia started as a penal colony, so there had to be. Okay, so that would be what here. So we're cutting it off. So what are we counting as? But that's not the way. We're not arguing about which is a slave trade. What the argument? First off, the argument you tried to start originally was, do Muslims commit more terrorist attacks in the U.S., which is just not true. The second argument you had is, did Muslims oppress more people than white people? Not did their slave trade work longer? Because slave trading is not the entirety of oppression. We oppress people now, but look, it's no, because the oppression continues beyond the slave trade. There is still oppression in a whole bunch of white countries than there are in But first, if you look at who they are, first off, if we have to clarify who's getting, we have to. I don't think so. If we will, I mean, that's the problem. First off, imperialism. If you want to talk about imperialism, when it came to white people versus Muslims, the fucking England was like all of this. Okay. So this is not the stream I expected to have. Also, I have to. No, I am not saying they're a minority. Well, it depends on what you're referring to. England was it not? Did they not have an empire that spanned the globe? The sun would set and rise on the British Empire. Is that not a thing? Well, it depends. No. So it was not given up willingly. It was a collapse of an empire. It wasn't a willing. You think they willingly gave up? Get the fuck out of here. Did they willingly give up the United States? They willingly gave up the colonies? Did their empire collapse, or did they say, you know what, fuck it, we're tired of oppressing these people? Yeah, are you telling me they willingly gave up the 13 colonies? Is this the argument you're actually going to have with me right now? Get the No. That they also. So what about the spice trade? Did they also give up India as well? They just gave up India? India didn't have a revolution around it? Big Papa Fascist, I'm pretty sure he's American, right? You're American? Wait, Riddler, you're Canadian. Didn't the Canadians have a revolt against the French? Oh, I thought you told me you were Canadian. Somebody else must have. That's my apologies. Did the Dutch ever have a revolution against anybody? Fuck me, I've so lost the fight to what this stream was supposed to be about, and I don't even care. I am way good at this. Is fine. This we could do this. It actually works better for tomorrow. Right, it was traded it. What percentage of people? Why did you do that? Why does it keep happening to me? Right, but that was on the extent of fighting in the other world wars, but it wasn't. I don't know if this link will work because it did go. Okay, but this is the First and Second World War. This wasn't the beginning of them. So it was an empire at one point, right? We can agree it was an empire. It was an empire, and then it stopped being an empire. But it wasn't just all willingly given up. If there had not been world wars, well, okay, but that's not where we were talking about. Oh, is this from the UK government? I didn't even see who it was. National Archives. Yeah, that's not really the best source for. But we didn't even. Well, I mean, it's not. It's not. It could. This information could very well be accurate. No. It's not. I'm not. That's not what he's. Look, there's nothing wrong with following it from like a government website. It's just with the understanding that it could be, that there's a potential for biases. But the decline of this empire has nothing to. There's other empires. France and Spain were empires. They weren't as effective. But they were certainly empires, and they carved up all of Africa. All of Australia was a penal colony. A lot of places threw Muslims out. They also threw the Jews out. I don't know if they was it. Oh, was that part of what, the Ottoman Empire? Was that part of why they threw it out? I mean, we had to throw out the British. I mean, they. Okay. What about the Roman Empire? Is the Roman Empire considered? Is the Roman Empire considered? It considered white? Throwing out the British was no, it was the right thing to do. Fuck the British. The height of the what era is the Roman Empire not considered white? Isn't the Roman Empire the birth of where democracy and these Western ideals came from? Let's see if DFK ever shows up. DFK, if you show up into the chat today, I know I promised we'd do the anti-vax stuff, but I don't think. Right, but Easton, was it not considered white? Is what I'm saying. Right, so that would go into my argument. Greece was also considered white. I mean, if you're looking for like the major Muslim empire, let's look at this. Muslim empires. World history. Okay, so we have I don't even know what I was looking for. Okay, so we're arguing from the 7th century on. So this is AD. So we need... we would start about toward the end of the Byzantine Empire. So the Byzantine Empire would count the... these two would count. Okay, so if you're arguing that, how could they be more oppressive then? If Islam is from the 17th century, then how could that be more oppressive than all of human history, in which any oppression would then be implied that it was white people? And I mean, just because they were, hold on one second, oppressing other white people, that wouldn't mean that it was. Also, this is not even Muslim. This is Genghis Khan. These were slaves. Oh, they overstood the rules. All right, so we appear to have lost the point of pretty much everything. Wait, hold on. Was Rome... Yes, I'm not boosted. So I have talked about this. I talked about this beginning. So I have no idea when people hop in. So I kind of mumble in the beginning. But I have a document that has all of them. So I'm actually going to share this. This is the... Hold on. Yeah, I should do that. Although none of these fucks are on the Discord. So this has all of them as far as I can tell. Oh, I advanced to level 1. Cool. No, so I don't think the Israelis are white. Did you post something in general? Oh, yeah, this. I actually talked directly about this. What did I post this in? Did I post that in announcements? I did post it in announcements. That's my bad. I actually directly quoted this one. This particular, so, hold on one second. This is just going to be a brief primer for tomorrow. This is not a backtrack. Look at the date. February 5th. At this point in time, Fauci was saying for most people not to wear masks. And the reasoning behind this, which I disagree with, was that they didn't want to run out of N95s. So this is not a backtrack to what Fauci was saying. There are other documents there are other emails that I've seen bits and pieces of. They look a little bit worse, but that's I had this. If you look at the document that I posted, hold on one second. Hey, join the fucking Discord tomorrow so that you have an idea what we're talking about tomorrow, so that some of you can learn. Right. So this is part of what I was talking about. These are emails that I've only seen screenshots of. The Riddler, thank you for the follow. The footy is on, lad. Are you talking about soccer? Nobody cares about soccer. Yeah, there's a lot, but I'm not Bruce. I'm talking directly to you right now. I know there are documents. There are emails that are saying things like that, but like I said, it's something I want to take a look at. So there's two things with the emails. One, from the brief glance that I've taken on them, it looks like they're redacted to some degree or another. Also, the idea that it's all that he backtracked first on that first one that you posted is just not true, because you have to compare it to factually what was happening at that time to figure it out. But this is we're gonna go over tomorrow. So heads up. So heads up for those of you who are not in the Discord. I don't care whatever low. I don't know if you're popping back in tomorrow. The Riddler, I think you just left. Big Papa Fascist. The data that I'm drawing on, the information that I'm going to be drawing on, is going to come from the document I have posted in the Discord. If you want to read along and possibly point things out that I might miss, because there's 3,000 pages of information there. I advise you to go look at it so that we can have an actual in-depth conversation on what is actually happening there. It is very simple. It is a lot, but I think a lot of it is redacted, and not all of it is going to be relevant. From what I've seen of the write-ups of it, some of it is just people who've somehow managed to get in contact with him, like, should I fly? Or like not. I don't think everything is relevant. What we're going to be looking for is inconsistencies. The February 5th email is not an inconsistency because it was consistent with what he was saying. We're going to look at whether or not there was actually information based on if they knew about some type of engineering, because I've seen one of the emails, and from what I've gleaned from it, it says that they believe that a small fraction of it might be engineered, but it's like less than 1%, like 0.1%. And the other part is so we're going to be looking into stuff like that, about what they knew about the engineering, if there's more data that they knew about how dangerous the virus was and they weren't sharing. And obviously, we're part of the reason I'm waiting is because I want to see. Right, it's like looking at things like that. I think I saw something that he's talking to one of the people who worked at the lab, but I'm not clear. Like, This is why I'm not going over this right now. I want to have time to digest it and look through it. Also, you're going to see people say things about this who you will know have not read it. Anything you see Marjorie Taylor Greene say about this, you know for a fact she has no idea what's going on. There is 0% chance she has read all of it. So you have to understand what the source is. And I'm going to be very careful when we go through this. This is the same thing as when I go through the lab leak theory. Because I don't have a background in biology and I don't have a background in virology, a lot of what I'm going to be looking at, I'm probably not going to be. See, I don't have an answer to that conclusion. I don't believe he does. But this is something we're going to have to look through the emails. Right. If we find something in those emails where it's very blatant, like, haha, we're purposely scaring people to gain power or some crazy shit that we would have to see. I'm being very clear about how I'm saying this. I don't know what is in this. I have seen things from it. But so far, this argument that he lied about everything because of this one February 5th email is not consistent, first off, with reality, and is not consistent with any breaking of the law, because what he said in that email is right on point with what he was saying in the press at that time. So part of the things we also have to quantify with these are, depending on what the email says, we have to quantify to what is currently happening at that time, because that email was in February. We still don't know what was going on. And we also have to quantify it with what he was saying behind closed doors and what we were being told in public. So there's a lot of, this is going to be a long, intensive dive into, right, but that's the thing. When we see bits and pieces, right, we can't, that's why I'm not drawing any conclusions now. We don't know what bits and pieces, like right now all we have are people who are spitting out bits and pieces. So we don't have the full picture. That's why I want people to go look into it in the Discord. And I was looking, because I wasn't going to pay for it from the New York Times or the Washington, whoever got it. But we'll have all the data here, so we can look through it, and as a community, we can come to a consensus. I would also like, as the day goes on and more people look at it, there will be more reporting on it, and we will be able to see, what that'll help us narrow down our search of, okay, what appears to be problematic, what appears to be overblown, things like that. Again, I'm not making judgments. I think there was an awful lot placed on him, and I think more needs to be blamed at the federal government's failings for a lot of this. But like I said, I don't know what's in it because I haven't had a chance to look. But it does seem like it does seem like we have totally lost the point from today. I think, though, I do believe that my argument was made stronger by MPB's response, which is something that I no, it's not you. I'm not boosted. You actually kind of brought it into for tomorrow. It was a Big Papa Fascist who threw us off, which is something he kind of does. I think like every time he shows on, I get stunlocked. I think this won me my argument. They're not a race, they're a religion, so therefore they cannot be more oppressive than a race. But yeah. Hallucinogenics used as a chemical weapon aimed at demoralizing. What do you mean? Well, how would you use why would you? So you're arguing for some type of chemical warfare, right? Why would you need to demoralize a Chinese society? Generally, if you have an issue with a foreign government, with a foreign country, it's their government. I don't even know what to make of that statement. Also, what are you going to hallucinate a society that produces like hentai and shit? I don't think you're going to get more demoralized than that. Oh, man. I mean, that's not a... that wouldn't have won me the argument, but that would have been an interesting point. All right, so we're going to give a couple answers, a couple minutes for him to clarify whatever he's talking about. It's not the right screen. Map. See if anything on Twitter's happened that I missed. I do know, I think Coach K just retired. Is that what happened? Oh, he's retiring after this season. All right, so, look, guys, we had an interesting conversation today. Was it what I planned? No. But is that the fun of this site? I come in here every day with a plan, and then you guys blow it up. And the beauty of having a small community is I will talk to you guys about pretty much anything, regardless of whether we have any idea of what the fuck. Yeah, so for tomorrow, and DFK, if you are popping in tomorrow, you'll actually have the topic that you're looking for, because I was waiting for you to do it because you've been the one badgering me about it, and I'm not going to do a topic that you've asked for if you're not fucking here. So if you're watching this later, show up tomorrow, and we'll have a huge, expansive Fauci thing just for you. Well, not just for you, but we're doing Fauci, and it'll probably lead into the lab leak. So I have no idea how long tomorrow is going to be. There's a lot. It's tomorrow's gonna be fun. I'm very excited. This is going to be like a real, like, we're gonna be detectives. We're gonna be looking at little things. It's gonna be a great time. I can't wait. It's gonna be a blast. Although I do have to get off because I have plans for tonight. But I do appreciate all you guys being here. Once again, you can follow me here. You can follow me at Fresh Faces New Ideas on YouTube. You can follow me on Faces Ideas at Twitter. And is this the Discord link? This is the Discord link. So if you go to the Discord, you can actually link me things, and we can have voice calls. So I don't care whatever low. You should probably join the Discord, because I feel like the things that you ask me are much easier to have an actual, like a physical talking conversation than through you saying something and then disappearing. But other than that, I think we had a good day today, guys. Was it what I planned? No. Did we have a little bit of fun? I hope so. Did we learn some stuff? I have no idea. But as always, I appreciate you guys. I'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. and we're gonna do some deep dives into data. Sounds like fun for me. Hope you guys are ready for it. So I'll catch you